As an American myself, I can comfortably say that the United States is the best country in the world. The United States is a huge country with over 331 million people, and there's a lot to do. That's why it's an amazing land of opportunity. There are different parts that I would change, but at the end of the day, complaining about those parts instead of seeing the good isn't going to get you anywhere. One of the primary parts used to attack the US is to compare that the US, again a large country, with other countries that aren't as large and dominant. For example, it's unfair to compare the US to a smaller country like Switzerland when it comes to gun control, because Switzerland only has 9 million people, when again, the US has more than 331 million people. It's hard to provide the affordable healthcare people talk about, control guns like people want, and do a lot of those things that other developed Western nations have. Is it possible? Absolutely. Will it happen? Probably not, but you can go onto literally any social media platform, and when there's anything positive talking about the world, there's always that one commenter from some place like Syria saying, "Oh, US can't possibly be on the developed nation list. Have you ever seen them? They're literally dumb and fat." As they're commenting from like a little asylum tent in the middle of Turkey, stealing the neighbor's internet. Or better yet, the European that comments something like, "According to my studies and research at Oxford, it is found that nations like Argentina possess much higher satisfaction levels to the increase of inflation in the US, thus making the US a third world country." Okay, bud. Okay, keep commenting whatever you can find on the internet while Europe's border crisis is just as bad, if not worse, than ours. And my point is, for some reason, the internet thinks the United States isn't allowed to have any success or be known for being successful. You couldn't even comment without the internet made by who? Oh yeah, an American. I couldn't even make this YouTube video without thanking the Americans who made YouTube either. Yeah, those both come from California, land that used to belong to Mexico, but the only thing I could think of that were invented in Mexico that I couldn't live without is Eugenio Derbez and Caesar salad. I noticed that most Americans are proud of the most minute achievements, which makes me question if others really feel the same way about their countries. Being proud to be an American is shown so differently than being proud to be German, for example.
War never changes.
The world goes off on the education system saying that Americans aren't educated about the rest of the world. As a geography-loving American myself, I can say yes, it does suck that we don't learn more about the world, but part of my education was learning so much about the other 49 states around me. The school system decided that we are better off learning everything about our own country rather than learning about others. It might sound prideful, and I think it is. Being from a country with this much history in recent times always made sense to me. It just sucks when I tell my friends and family here that was going to Andorra, for example, and they were like, "Oh, is that next to Louisiana?" I've always found it funny that when I find people that I met from other countries and become friends with them, they hate on the States the whole time I know them, or they make fun of me being an American, and then one day they'll go on Facebook and post that they've made it, and they finally either traveled to the US or moved there for whatever reason, and all I can say is,
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
I do feel that the United States is one of the most hated places on earth because the people are so dang loud and proud, as I said earlier. That and how there is so much American influence across the world now, it would be hard to avoid us. Look at places like McDonald's and Burger King taking over as many countries as they can just to give you that terror that is the United States of America. I would of course much rather McDonald's coming over and taking the land rather than, the US military. Which reminds me, our country spends so much money on the military, it's ridiculous. This is one of the things that most countries can't comprehend, but I personally feel protected enough. Not from lootings, riotings, or school shootings, but, I definitely feel protected if a country like Liechtenstein were to ever try to invade us. On another note, Americans don't realize how nice we have it, even with the little things. When I was in Andorra, I saw that the movies had 4 choices, either watch it in Spanish, Catalan, French, or English with subtitles. And this got me thinking, in the States you don't even have to question it, you just go to the movie theaters, pick a movie and sit down and you're done. This is 100% a first world problem, but for Americans like myself, we hate when movies are dubbed in other languages, and I'm sure for Europeans, it probably gets a little annoying when none of the movies coming out that are good are actually in your language, but they're rather in English. Speaking of English, I speak 3 languages. I mention it a lot in the videos, English, Spanish, and French. But wow, so many Americans around me only speak English. But the part is, everyone is learning English. So in dumb terms, if monkey has banana and banana is good, monkey good. If monkey has apple, he's not as good. He needs banana to also be good, meaning Americans have less incentives to learn another language because of the power that is English. That, and we also learn English so much and so well that some scholars believe that it's actually interferes with our ability to learn other languages. And yes, even if I make little grammatical mistakes, I don't care. There's a dozen of other reasons why the US is the best, and I'm sure for every reason to love the US, there's a reason to hate the US. Taking a look, our country gets more hate and more than any other country because of how powerful and how relevant it is. Looking at the states as a country and then separating it into people, you can see two different worlds. Lots of Americans would love to have the same life and privileges that other Western countries have, but we love our country and have managed to have a great life despite the shortcomings. There's a reason that millions of people try to come here every single year, and there's a reason that there's going to be millions of people continuously coming here, and the United States is always going to be here as well. Even just look at Futurama and tell me that is in our country's future.